The Baltic Way was the biggest protest in Soviet Union. 2 million people held their hands together and created 600 kilometers long human chain crossing the three Baltic countries, Lithuania, Latvia, and Estonia. People live in Baltic countries, joined their hands and shouted together to demand to their independence from Soviet Union. It made 5th anniversary of Molotov-Ribbentrop Pact, which divided Europe and led to the occupation of Baltic states.
When they were in the core of the events, people were organized by other people to catch their hands and stand on the way on the Baltic Way. And of course, people were organized to be they wanted to be this chain without any holes. So they had to take buses, people with buses, and transport them to the other places where there was no people. And of course, I think that Latvians, Lithuanians, Estonians, they are nations who they are really calm. They really didn't want to fight anyhow. They just catched their hands and started to sing. This is the characteristic of the countries, I think. That was so much better when it comes to the reality and to the characteristic points of the identity of Estonians, Latvian, Lithuanians, that they didn't take a knife or a sword or anything. They didn't go to fight. They just stand there and sing, and that's it. And they won. After the events of the Baltic Way, not only in Baltic states, which Lithuania, Latvia, and Estonia, but in all Eastern Europe, which was taken by Soviet countries, something started to change. People started to they were in need for independence. And they did want to get rid of all of the Soviets from their countries. So in this time, after the Baltic Way, the communists, all of the Soviet Union collapsed. And all of the countries, they got their independence again and started to be countries, not the part of something else.
Latvia, Estija, Lietuva, Latvija, Igaunija, Lietu, Leti, Esti.
During the Soviet times, Estonia, Latvia, and Lithuania, they haven't been separate countries. They've been a part of Soviet Union. So when we see the map of Europe from that period of time, we can see Estonia, Latvia, and Lithuania. We will see Soviet Union. After communist Soviet Union collapsed, those countries started to be independent, started to be Estonia, started to be Latvia and Lithuania, and it's called like that, with their own identity and with own language. And Russian, okay, Russian still is part of the culture of Lithuania, Latvia, and Estonia, but it's not the main language in a country, and it will never be again.
Well, first I've heard the name like Baltic Way in the kindergarten when the teachers were telling the school, the youngsters, the children about all the people holding hands and cheering for United Lithuania and all of the other Baltic states. So first of all, I didn't see the greatness of the event, but lastly, when I grew older, I found out that Lithuania is really like a nationalistic country, and we believe in united country and united citizens.
Yeah, but it's interesting that we really didn't know what does it mean Baltic Way, but when the teacher was asking, draw what it means independence for you all the time, let's draw Baltic Way, and that's it. And we really didn't know, but during that events, each year we were watching the movies about it, because it was, and it is very important about our country, like it shows our identity, like 3 Baltic nations identity from Vilnius to Tallinn, and that's really great.
Yeah, it was really
and
important.
also in the secondary school, maybe our Lithuanian, I don't know, educational system is made like that, that we need to know like by heart about events like, for example, January 13th, or all the fates for the independence. We need to know really good about it, and it's maybe patriotism of our nation, and it's good.
Also, I believe that songs and cultural life in Lithuania made a huge impact on our identity, because like we have many singers who sang songs to just make the country move for our independence, and just like Mamontovas and other great singers and rock bands, they were cheering for us, they were making us move and fight. Stories when they went to hold hands with other Lithuanians, and even now we have a statue in memoriam to all the people who went there, and there's like names written on the wall, showing like who attended and who cheered up and were fighting for Lithuania.
And generally, probably each family may found the member who participated in that event, because it was that huge, and it was just amazing, and I don't know, it was good, and it's like I forget what I wanted to say, but it shows our nationalism, and these actually talking about these events are like our parents, our grandparents may tell a lot, and they're so happy and they're proud about it, and they want to give that proudness and that awareness to us. They want to inspire us, and it's a huge inspiration, since now we have a huge problem in Lithuania, like immigration and like lack of nationalism, patriotism. So when you back to the past, to the great past, when you remember those times and that fate, you remember that we're a really great nation, and we have nationalism, patriotism, and that there isn't here so hard to live, and we must keep holding us.
Yeah, and reunite like we used to.
Yeah, basically knowing that it was because it was an anniversary of Ribbentrop and Molotov Pact and that secret document that leads to the occupation of Baltic states and later the other countries, is very important, because we fight for our independence, and actually we, as well as the other countries, we may see the example how we need to fight for our identity, for our country, for our nation. And for example, what's happening in Ukraine and other countries is that just an example that we need to hold on, and not only politicians should fight for the independence or better future, but the power is in each person. The power of the nation are the citizens, and we.
Exactly. The thing that I could add, that the importance is shown because each year we celebrate the Baltic Way and the other historical facts in Lithuania. So I believe that this fact that we always, every year, somehow we mention it, shows that this is important date and important that even nowadays in Lithuania.
Miega sesės jas slegia pančiai neviltis, vajoja lyg elgeta pajūriu, dvasia tautų garbės.
It's hard to say the exact date or time because since we Lithuanians and we started to attend like kindergarten, secondary school or primary school, it just, you generally have somehow the knowledge about it, even though you don't know exactly what it is.
You feel like the spirit.
Yeah, you just feel the spirit, you know, all the time hearing Baltic Way, but perhaps the normal consciousness and awareness about it is in the school when we start to learn history about our country, because the history part is like, it's a huge, we need to learn a huge part of our history and know it by heart.
Yeah. It's really important to learn our history. Like 70% of the whole history course is mainly
and the final exam in the 12th class.
Yeah, so we are really interested in this important part.
The Baltic Way was the way for other class people to express themselves in a Sąjūdis movement. It's like the people were fighting for the freedom in Lithuania in few ways. There was this fight way, the military way, and there was this diplomatic way. They were doing that outside the borders, like in UK, US, and Germany. And the Baltic Way was the way of simple people, like the students, like the people from smaller towns, to show that what they are thinking. They could not find a fight in usual ways because they could have been arrested or something. And then there was this time when they could do that and show what they think. And I think that's why it was very, very important.
Mėly radio klausytojai, girdėjote reportažą iš katedros aikštės. Iš čia prasideda ir mūsų radio laidos Baltijos kelias. Mūsų korespondentai, reporteriai jau išvažiavo į kelio trasą iki pat pasienio su Latvija. Jie pasirengę perduoti informaciją apie svarbiausią dienos įvykį, pilietinę akciją.
The media role in the Baltic Way, the radio was the main media about the Baltic Way. It's hard to imagine the Baltic Way in that time. The huge mass of people gathering together, well, like huge mass, I don't know, there was a 3 million, I guess? Or maybe there was not 3 million. I don't know, it's like 600 kilometers, and it's really a huge flash mob, if we would call it these times. And let's imagine, how would you create such thing? Like, how would you create such event? Today it would be easy. You would call someone to post something on Facebook, on Twitter, or somewhere else, and you would gather people in a few days. And back in that time, there was no internet, no television. Well, there was television, but let's say the radio was the main thing, the main way how to gather the people. And it was quite hard, but I think the people did a quite great thing, didn't they? We have this great event now. We have the Baltic Way, and it's quite amazing. The main link between history and mass media is that we could not have one without another. The history would not be known without the mass media, without any media, like written media or listen media, or even paintings are some kind of media, isn't it? So we can know some details from the past, and Baltic Way is the same thing. The mass media, without the radio, the Baltic Way would not happen. Nobody could just, saying the thing to other person, like, let's meet in the Baltic Way that time. It would take ages to cooperate for such thing. And because of the mass media, it was like this great example how you could cooperate and fight for your ideas. And yeah, so in the future, of course, it's getting better. Today, it's like I said before, it's very easy to create flash mob or something like that. You just call somebody, write somebody, and it's already settled. It's like you can do it on the same day. You don't need the hard preparation for that. And imagine how hard it was for the people who were there at that time. So yeah, we are pretty lucky to have that thing. And without the Baltic Way, we would not have the freedom today, I guess. Oh, we probably would, but it's still a pretty cool thing. Imagining those people gathering there, it must have been a hell of a thing.
And generally, since knowing that we're like a new generation that already born in an independent country, it makes a lot because we are like divided. One side of young generation, they're like lost patriotism and they're like totally like, let's say, fucked up. And the another side is like a people who still has like in their hearts a small piece of independence and that patriotism, and they know that we're the nation. We know that we have identity, we know who we are, and we need to fight and keep our country framed and describe ourselves as Lithuanians. That's why we're different from others. What you can add more?
Yeah.
It's important because a lot of us now are studying abroad. They're coming back to the countries, but they feeling like sometimes they're saying that I'm feeling like not like at home here when I'm back here in Lithuania. And those events like Baltic Way, when you have the films, documentary, parents, grandparents, when they tell you that it happened, what happened, and some of them was already almost in progress to born, it means a lot because it's our awareness, it's our past, and it's our roots from where we came.
Miega sestris, jas slegia pančiai neviltis, klajoja lyg elgeta pajūriu, dvasia tautų garbės. Bet varpas likimo nuaidi vėl, jūra šiaušia bangas. Tai sesės iš miego kyla jau apginti savo garbės. Vėliava